With all due respect to Ven-Allen Lubin, it's Cade Tyson who is the most important transfer this offseason for Carolina.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. Joining me is our guy, Coach Pat Kilby, and you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We want to thank you for making us your first listen or watch, and send a special shout out to all the everydayers and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord family. If you're not part of it, man, you're missing out. It's free to join. The links in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Coming up today on the show, we're continuing our summer roster preview series like Pack and I do every summer. We've worked our way through the freshmen, the sophomores. We've started the juniors with a little Ven-Allen Lubin action, and today we move along to Mr. Cade Tyson. So here's how this goes. We kind of, Pack will run us through the bio, his stats, and then we just dive into some fun conversations. And with Cade, it's going to be really intriguing, some fun questions. We'll get to some bold takes, floor, ceiling, all sorts of stuff, strengths and weaknesses. So that said, Coach Pack, get us started.
Yeah, so we've got Cade, who is originally from Monroe, North Carolina. He's going to be a junior. Previous school was Belmont. Position is guard / forward. He's kind of that, 3-4 hybrid type. Height 6'7", weight 205 pounds, and he wore number 10 at Belmont for his jersey. So we'll see if he's repping 10 for the Tar Heels or not. Twitter at Cade_Tyson. Instagram, just Cade Tyson. Just keeping it nice and simple.
Yeah. We love it, Pack. We love the simplicity. Way to go, Cade.
Yes. All right, so let's look at some stats here. 2023-24 stats, 31 games played, 31 started, 31.6 total minutes, 16.2 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game, 1.6 assists per game, 1.4 turnovers per game. His blocks per game was 0.6, steals per game 0.9. Two-point field goal percentage was 51.9%, 96 for 185. And then three-point field goal percentage was 46.5 at 80 for 172 at 5.5 attempts per game.
Right.
Free throw percentage was 85.5%, 71 of 83 on 2.7 attempts per game. So it really stands out there for me is that the dude's taking pretty much just as many threes as he is twos.
And Pack, you know what? I've decided this offseason, I want to normalize getting 2-point field goal percentage into box scores, because it's like we've got field goal percentage in there and we've got 3-point field goal percentage in there. Well, it's like it muddles the overall field goal percentage because we know the three. So just give us the differences. I'll take the total as well, but I want to know the 2-point. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
All right,
really, we shouldn't be shooting as many twos. I mean, truthfully, if we're in the analytics of the game, we like seeing how many Cade is shooting just as many threes as twos. That's a good sign.
And not all twos are made equal, right? Like if he's getting to the rim a ton, that's good news. And here's what I will say though, that we'll talk about with his shooting, that I love. Like since you've already gone there, let's just do it. I kind of love that he took more twos than threes last year, because like on a certain level, it means that he's not just floating around the 3-point line doing nothing else like a lot of shooters do, where it's like, I contribute nothing else to the game, right? Like with this dude, it's pretty balanced. 185 twos last year, 172 threes. But also he's getting it, because what I love when I look at his stats is Cade averaged 5.9 rebounds a game last year. He's not assisting a ton, 1.6 per last year, but I love that he's doing other stuff alongside of just sitting out there being a sniper.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing is with Cade, it's going to be really interesting to see, because We've talked about it before, but I think he moves really well off the ball. And he has some Brady-like tendencies in the sense that he moves well off the ball and he has such a fast, quick release from the three-point line. Like there's some similarities there. So I'm really interested to see Cade have all this talent around him now.
Yep.
Because I could see his game kind of flourish, specifically his assists and kind of how he impacts the game with ball movement.
Similar to what we talked about with Harrison Ingram last year, right? Like, again, all due respect to Stanford and Belmont, but it's that thing when you play with better guys, things are going to go better. You gave him some Brady Manicness. I'm kind of interested to see if we get some Cam Johnson vibes out of Cade this year at all. Got good positional size, can shoot, can do a little more than that as well. Not really known for the defense, but, we get some of that. So, Pat, speaking of the Belmont of it all, this is a question I wanted to ask you kind of right out of the gate like this. When we look at players moving up from the mid-major level to the high major level, do you have any concern about Cade Tyson's game translating up to the ACC?
Man, I really don't. I've been on this kind of horse, I guess, if you want to call it, for a while. To me, is he stepping up in competition? Sure he is. Yeah, I mean, we're playing in the ACC versus whatever the Belmont was playing in. But the thing is he also has more talent around him than he's ever had before. So, whatever negatives he's going to experience, I feel like it's going to kind of be offset with positives. But the other thing is, too, there's a lot of parity now. I mean, some of these schools like Belmont and other mid-majors, they go right into Power 5 conferences and compete with them night in and night out now. So it's not like, it's going to be something he's never experienced before. And the fact that he's been there all summer playing with Carolina alum and current Carolina players just makes me feel even better. Whatever the adjustment period was, he's probably adapted to that by now too. So I feel really comfortable thinking that he's either going to stay about the same or even grow in his numbers.
Yep. For those wondering, the Belmont's in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is generally regarded as one of the better mid-major conferences. And so, yeah, I mean, we will take that. And there's the pedigree of his brother played at the ACC level. His brother is an NBA draft pick. You got all Belmont has had other NBA draft picks. So it's all there. It's just got to do it. And look, with that positional size that Cade Tyson has, you can't teach that because you think about things translating up. Well, guess what, Pat Kilby? I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but when you shoot a free throw, ain't nobody standing in front of you. And this dude has shot over 80% both years of college. That ain't changing, right? And so there's a lot of that. Here's another question that people want to know a lot about Cade Tyson. Will he or won't he start? And if he does, will he play at the 3 or will he play at the 4? That's the question everyone's champing at the bit to know the answer to. And that's where we're going to go next in our conversation. Right after I tell you that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Going to MLB games in the summer is one of my favorite all-time things to do. The game, the food, the people, friends, family, whatever. Everything that's part of that experience. And I'm excited to make all new memories this summer at the ballpark as well. And thankfully, when I do so, I don't have to sweat high-priced last-minute tickets because Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, making getting tickets even faster and easier. In fact, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. How about this? North Carolina at Minnesota to kick off the football season 2 weeks from tomorrow. Y'all, it is here. Tickets right now as cheap as $36, but you could get into the end zone in the second row for just $67 each, or right behind the Carolina bench for just $80. That is a steal. So get in on that right now and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Pack, one of the big talking points this offseason amongst the Carolina fan base has been, Will Cade Tyson start? Will he not start? Will Cade Tyson play his natural 3 or will he play the 4? And it seems like there is a wide range of opinions on both of those questions. Let's take them one at a time by first starting answering the question, will Cade Tyson start? And I think to figure out that answer, we got to discuss the starting lineup as the roster stands today. So, do you or do you not think Cade Tyson will start?
Yeah, I mean, at least in my mind, I think there's 3 starters that are for sure cemented.
Okay.
And I would go with Elliot, RJ, and Cade.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion.
That's what I'm asking for. I like it.
You said it in the intro. He is the most important transfer. And I believe that too. And so I don't see a world where he comes to Carolina and doesn't play. He's too valuable at what he does, as that's shooting and stretching the floor and putting the ball in the basket. So as good as he is at that, I just don't see a way where he doesn't, or don't see a world where he doesn't start for us.
I 100% agree with everything you just said there, because here's what we got to remember, folks, about roster construction and the 5 players on the court. The complementary pieces have to be working all together. That's what Hubert Davis and the staff learned 2 years ago when things didn't go well. And that's why things worked so well last year, is because they found the pieces that fit. And that's what makes Cade Tyson perhaps one of the most underrated but most valuable transfers, not just to Carolina, but in the entire country. And if he continues to shoot and stretch the floor the way he has, which all his history suggests that he will, it's massive. So, Pack, I agree with you that the 3 of them are guaranteed starters. The interesting thing with Elliot and RJ is they're a guarantee to be at the 1 and 2. So we kind of dovetail together the question of, is he starting at small forward or power forward, which let's not even use those. Let's just say 3 and 4, because positionless basketball, here we go. But who are those other 2 dudes you expect to be in the starting lineup? And then that dictates our answer to the second question, if he's the 3 or the 4.
I see, that's where it gets tough. Because I think at the 5, I think you could easily just plug Jae'lyn in there for now.
Washington, correct? Not Withers?
Yeah. I feel comfortable saying Jae'lyn will be one of the other 2. But that other one's a real toss-up. I mean, I think there's genuine arguments to be made for Drake Powell, Ian Jackson, and Seth Trimble. And I could
Would you include anyone else in that conversation right now?
No, honestly, probably not. But I can see a legitimate argument for any of those 3. In fact, I have that argument with myself pretty much every day, like the pros and cons of all 3 of those. I think some people would tell you Ian Jackson, because just how dynamic he is, how highly rated he is as a recruit, how well he puts the ball in the basket. But then the negative to that is, I think sometimes iffy decision making, and he makes us incredibly small. So I look at that, and then I look at Trimble, and I think, well, he brings experience, and he brings rebounding, he brings size, he brings just elite perimeter defense, and just crazy stupid athleticism. And then there's Drake Powell, who is this kind of unknown, right? I mean, we know he's long and lanky, and he's great defensively. We don't know what he's going to bring offensively quite yet, but we know his ceiling is through the roof. So he's just got crazy potential. So anyways, where I'm going with this is there's an argument for all 3. I tend to lean towards Drake Powell, which may be the sleeper in this deal. But guys, I'm telling you, I think he's going to be a lottery pick. So I think he's just ridiculously stupid high potential. I think the staff is going to see it. I think he's been working towards it. So I see a lineup where Drake is in there at the 3, Cade is at the 4, and Jae'lyn's at the 5. Jalen Washington.
Okay. I love how you put that, Pack. First, let me say, yes, I'm in agreement that as of today, mid-August, Jae'lyn Washington, I think, is going to be our starting 5. I have Cade as our starting 4. And I know, it's funny, as I look not just within the Carolina fan base and Carolina media, but national media is divided on this as well. When I see projections of our starting lineup, some have Cade in it, some don't. Some have him on the bench, but I just firmly believe that he will be in the starting lineup. And then as of today, I love that you also said, I have these arguments with myself all the time going back and forth. And today, I have Ian Jackson as the starting 3 along with that foursome. Similar to you, I keep going back and forth on who it will be and who it could be. But today, I think the potency of Ian's offense is what is winning me over right now, because I just want to see Carolina just get out and run and just bomb on dudes. And so that's where I've got it today. RJ, Elliot, Ian, Cade, and Jay Wash. So we will obviously see. And these are just our opinions, but that's where it's at right now. I love that. Folks, we'd love to hear your thought. Is Cade in the starting lineup and at what position? Which, again, ultimately doesn't even really matter because they're just out there playing. Now, Pack, here's the next question. This is a fun one that I'm really curious to hear your answer on. Cade Tyson will finish the 2024-25 season as North Carolina's blank leading scorer.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely an interesting question. I think we can safely say RJ is going to be number 1. And then after that, I can kind of see it being similar to last year where that number 2 guy can vary from night to night. Sometimes it was Armando, sometimes it was Harrison, sometimes it was Elliot, or whoever.
Hey, there was one night at Duke where it was a guy named Cormac Ryan. He went pretty hard that night.
Yes, he did. So I think I tend to lean towards Cade being the second leading scorer.
Wow.
I just think he just does so well shooting the ball, and I think there's going to be so much space for him to get his shot consistently. And like you mentioned, he's really efficient from the free throw line, and he's going to I think he's going to do nothing but benefit from the talent around him, really. So to me, I think he's going to be our second leading scorer, but I could also see him being the third or fourth. But there's so many questions around that too, right? Like you just mentioned, if Ian's in the starting lineup and he is as dynamic of a scorer right away as we think he can be, that can change things. But for now, I think Cade is safely going to be our second leading scorer.
Yeah. I've got him as third, but what's funny is I don't know who's second. I've gone back and forth in my head between similar to what you said earlier. I can make an argument for Jay Wash if he hits just right, and how, we typically have used our bigs to be the second leading scorer. If Elliot's shot has truly grown, he could be the second leading scorer because he's going to have the ball in his hand so much. And Ian, if he gets enough of a usage rate, he could be the second leading scorer. So I think probably the best thing we can say here is the point you made about outside of RJ, number 2 could be anybody on any given night. And I think that actually bodes really well for Carolina's potential as a team, because that means that you as an opposing coach, when you're drawing up scouting reports, good luck to you, because these guys can hit you from anywhere. And I really like that. Peck, where we need to go next is talking about Cade Tyson's strengths and weaknesses. For those who haven't had a chance to watch footage from Belmont or highlights or anything else, we need to make sure to get folks up to speed with Cade. We're going to give you why we're most excited for him and our bold predictions for Cade Tyson. All of that coming up in just a second. Pat Kilby, Isaac Shea joining you today. We're talking about Cade Tyson, giving you our annual summer roster preview series, the Belmont transfer. We are both very excited about to see what he brings to the Tar Heels this year. Pack, that said, every basketball player has strengths and weaknesses. Let's start with the positive side for Cade Tyson. What you got?
Yeah, like we've talked about, the kid can just flat out shoot it. Very consistent in his shot. Great, quick, high release. Just does things, very consistently in that. So he's going to bring that to the table. He's got experience, so he's bringing some of that to the table. And I think he's got some versatility that we really need. Similar to like what Harrison Ingram brought to the table last year. He's got enough size and kind of bulkiness to him that he can be versatile in his positions, And so, yeah, I think those are really his strengths that stand out to me.
That's great. Let me build on what you said about the consistency. Cade is going into his junior year. Each year at Belmont, field goal percentage 49% and then 49.3%. 2-point percentage 53.6% and then 51.9%. 3-point field goal percentage 41.7%, 46.5%, and free throw percentage 85.9% and 85.5%. This dude is not a flash in the pan, Pat Kilby, is what I mean to say with that. This is somebody that is consistent and repeatable and shoots at a high level all the time. Something else, a strength that I love about him, is that he's not turning over the ball a ton. Last year, he only had 5 more assists than turnovers, 49 to 44, but his turnover percentage was only 10%, Pack. Last year, that would have been third best on the Carolina team, on a team that, oh, by the way, let's remember, didn't turn the ball over hardly at all. One of the best turnover percentages in team history. And that third place would have been only behind RJ Davis and Cormac Ryan. I love that. And then Pack, as we've already said today, but let me reiterate it, you just can't teach that positional size that Cade Tyson has. Anything else on strengths? If not, let's move on to any weaknesses or areas of growth.
Yeah, so his weaknesses, I think, are, the main concern for pretty much everybody is how well is he going to be able to guard, especially if he's playing at that 4 like we just talked about. Does he have the grit to get in there and bang, the toughness, the strength to hold his own? And to that point, I will say, if you've been paying attention to any of the Adam Lucas articles, he's talked several times about how Cade Tyson's been banging with Luke May this summer. So he's been working towards that. But nonetheless, until we see it in November and on, it's a question.
That's right.
So that, I mean, how well is he going to rebound is a question mark. His stats from Belmont, seem to indicate that he's going to get in there and bang around and get some boards. But is he going to do it at the ACC level? We'll find out. But until then, I think those are some things that I really have questions about. And then, a big question for me is if they take away the 3-point line, which I do think is going to be hard to do given our roster. But if they do, can he still contribute? Can he get to the rim? Can he get to the free throw line? I think he was 2.7 attempts from the free throw line per game last year. To me, that's a number I really would like to see go up.
I'm with you.
Given how well he shoots the ball from the free throw line. So to me, those are kind of some weaknesses / concerns that have yet to be answered. But I think we'll find out pretty quick once the ball tips for Carolina. That's
a good word. Yeah, that athleticism is not elite, but I think that's more, for me, I think that's more of an NBA concern than it is a college level concern, right? Like, I don't think the step up from Belmont to ACC is drastic enough that he's not going to be able to do, maybe marginally less than he did. Now, it's the concern when he goes to the NBA. Yes, can he guard? But right now, especially if he is playing the 4, because guess what? They got to guard him on the other side. So if a traditional power forward is taking away Cade Tyson's 3-pointer, boom, I'm gone. Then he either finishes at the rim or somebody else has to rotate over, and then he dumps off to J-Wash for a dunk, right? And so I'm encouraged by those things. I like what you were saying about him banging in the post, because one of the things that I've read from him in multiple scouting reports, I've seen it in game footage, is this dude is a competitor. He wants to go to war and do what he's got to do to win. And so that's encouraging to me. But yes, I think defense and athleticism are the 2 biggest things that we're going to have to wait and watch for and see what happens. Pack, before we go to our bold predictions, are there anything else we haven't talked about yet? Perhaps that you're just really excited for with Cade Tyson, or just that he brings to the table that really helps this club?
Well, I think, he's got a couple years of experience. And like you mentioned earlier, his brother played at Clemson. So he knows what it takes, I think, to win at this level. So I think that's going to help his adjustment period for sure. And I think that's a big part of how he's going to help the team, is just having some of that experience, because as we all know, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game in college basketball now is being experienced. And he brings that to the table, which is exciting. But he also just seems like a quality young man, real good fit for the program. And hopefully we get him for 2 years,
Man,
so that would be massive.
It's always that funny thing of like, I want you to be phenomenally good, but not too good that you leave, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like with Harrison last year. So that's tough. Yeah. And always love to see a North Carolina kid coming home. Where he's from there is just in the Southeast, kind of area of Charlotte. And so it's just good, anytime we're just seeing a lot of that in the transfer portal era. And so I think that's great. Pack, let's wrap things up with our bold predictions for this year and Cade Tyson.
Okay. So my prediction is not necessarily a stat, but I definitely think it's a bold prediction.
I like it.
So at the end of this season, I think that Cade Tyson is going to be talked about like Dalton Connect. I just think he's that type of like impact transfer. Now, the difference I think is RJ is our number one and Connect was Tennessee's number one.
Yeah.
So Cade won't necessarily be the number one, but I think he's going to be so impactful that we look at him like that major mid transfer that moved up and just excelled. That's my bold prediction.
That is very bold. And that's what we're here for with the bold predictions is things sure to go wrong. And I'm here for that, Pat Kilby. All right. My bold prediction, Justin Jackson was the first and for a while only Tar Heel to ever make triple-digit three-pointers in a single season. Hit 105 in 2016-17. Last year, RJ became the second ever, made 113 threes. Now, I expect RJ to get to triple digits again, but he's going to have company this year because Cade Tyson is going to become just the third ever Tar Heel to hit triple-digit threes in a single season. Last year, he made 85, if I have my memory correct. Let me just double-check myself to make sure I'm not lying to all of you in real time. 80. I was wrong. He had 80 last year, so needs 20 more in a high volume sort of scenario and role where he's going to be doing that a ton with what I hope is a lot of minutes. So Pat Kilby, that's my bold take. Can he get there or am I crazy?
No, I think he can get there for sure, especially at the rate that he shoots it at. I mean, God, his percentages are high. So, and he's going to get the attempts. There's no doubt about it.
I wonder how many times in D1 history, and I'm sure I could go find this, teammates have both hit triple-digit made three-pointers in a single season. That would be something.
Probably not many. Yeah.
I think that's the answer to the question. All right, man. Fun conversation about Cade Tyson. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the show on video and audio, please go ahead and do that so that you don't miss a second of all our great conversations. If you're not in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, you're missing out. Come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community. The link is in the show notes, and it's absolutely free to join. We're talking about this stuff literally all day. The notifications have been popping up on my computer while we're sitting here talking. Pack and I want to remind you that it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll be back tomorrow to talk again. Coach Rob joins me on the show. But until then, peace.